Hey guys, my name's Craig. I just top 8'd a Battlegrounds on Katsu, and I wanted to make this video and answer a couple questions that people had in purple about the hero, not about my run. I'm not going to do a report on how the tournament went. Just, I really just want to talk about the hero. I love Katsu. I love talking about it. And despite the fact that he's pretty poorly positioned in this meta and probably the upcoming meta, there's been a lot of interest in him recently, at least in the purple chat. And there have been some questions that I find interesting and I like talking about. So I really wanted to just make this video, for everyone over in the Katsu channel in purple. So let's quickly just make a change here. We're going to put this in inventory because I want to talk about my board, but my board does switch the arms depending on the matchup. So my standard loadout is Breeze Rider boots, Harmonized Kodachis, Hardened Cross Straps, and Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. At this point, I've probably made about 8 videos talking about these cards. These are the standard Katsu cards. A lot of people do like Edge of Autumn, and they have an Edge of Autumn Katsu build. With the 9 generic D-Reacts in the format, I am not really interested in playing the Edge of Autumn build because I will always take a greedy line when I can, and I'm going to lose my Edge of Autumn. I don't want to do that. So to make sure that I don't lose my weapon so that I can chip away at life totals before and after comboing, I run Harmonized Kodachi. I'm only going to talk about things that, are, maybe debated at all in Katsu lists as I go through this. My list, we'll just kind of do a quick breeze through, is what you would probably consider a traditional Katsu list. Like I mentioned, there's Edge of Autumn. There's also the Flood of Force build. And then there are some more mid-rangey builds, though I don't know if they've had much success. So just scanning through the cards here so you have a chance to see them, and then we'll go from the top. Okay, actually we'll go from the bottom. Breaking Scales, Null Rune Gloves, and Wind Cutters are my arms. Now, I have a very switchboard approach between Wind Cutter and Breaking Scales. I find that most matchup these days I'm still on Breaking Scales because being able to cash in my 1 armor when I need to is very important. And a lot of decks don't really give you a lot of time to set up 3 Wind Cutters because we are trying to race. And then Null Rune Gloves is for Vinset only. I don't respect wizards. I think that we are in a better position when we don't. I'm not going to say that has me loving my win rate. I lost to a very talented wizard player in top 8. I certainly don't think running AB1 would have changed that matchup, though. If you're going to play AB in Katsu for anything other than Rune Blades, I think you should commit, but I don't have the sideboard slots for that. So going over the list, I run Become the Bottle. It's a great card. It lets you fix awkward lines. It's a great extender. I don't run yellow, but I used to. And the reason I don't run yellow is I don't think that it's I don't think it's the best use of your Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. I do like that it can pitch, but eventually I got to the point where I just said that I would rather have the damage, and the really relevant thing about this for me is the text box. I don't need to tutor it because if I'm breaking Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, I'm probably on my Wombo combo turn, and it might be the case that I need a yellow Become the Bottle because I've already broken my Breeze Rider boots, and it's just the best card to keep the chain going. But I think that usually with proper planning, you don't end up in that scenario, and there are other targets that are better. So I figured I'd just keep it with red. The only other things that I think will be interesting to people, maybe the yellow Whelming Gust Wave. This is just a personal preference. Into aggro matchups. This was actually something that I think Taylor Crawford talked to me about, we messaged on Discord about Katsu while he was getting ready for Pro Tour, and he was saying, he really likes, that he can take a full card with the yellow Whelming Gust Wave on a combo. I guess it was that, like, throwing 2, they can give you a card, but you have breaking scales. Throwing 3, if they give you a card and you have breaking scales, like, you can get your card draw. So I really like that idea. So the yellow one's just better into those more aggressive matches. I do run Salt the Wind main board. I think that you should. It's a fantastic card. It's generally your best mask target, but not always. Tenacity is another card I run main board. People gotta block Katsu, and it works really well, right? Nothing else I think is too interesting. I do run Winds of Eternity. Maybe that is interesting to some people. I don't really think it is. Be Like Water is great for aggressive matchups. Double Strike is an all-star. I love this card. It is a pet card, but it is back. Really good for warriors, really good for decks that like to block, just to, get your Katsu trigger. It's fantastic. Flick Flack, it is your D-React. I don't really have much to say. You don't have to run them. I even think that there's a really good argument that Sink Below is just better because it allows you to fix a hand. But I run this for, like, Dio, Rhinar. I see a lot of those locally, so I find this cards to be pretty good. Swift Pickup. This is sort of the Be Like Water for your Shuriken package, right? So for blocky decks, Swift Pickup comes in. Aggressive decks, you're going to be on, like, Be Like Water and Warmongers. Then I run an extra Tenacity. No one expects the second Tenacity. It's always really fun to, end up hitting them with the second Tenacity because everyone thinks it's a one-of. And then let's talk about these 3 cards here, because I think these 3 probably are the only ones that need to be explained. Clarity Potion, Energy Potion, and Visit the Floating Dojo are cards that I run for very slow matchups to set up a combo turn with Ancestral Harmony. Energy Potion lets you do your breaking scales stuff without breaking your chest piece into Jarl. Clarity Potion, you get to guarantee that you're going to hit. And Visit the Floating Dojo, you get to guarantee an ancestral hit. In fact, I had played a game against Ziggy this weekend where I ended up using Visit the Floating Dojo to put a Bonds of Ancestry back on my deck, then playing my Ancestral Harmony and breaking my chest piece to go Descendant into Bonds, into another attack, right? Really, really synergistic, really great for guaranteeing a hit. This was probably a card that we should start off by having a conversation about, because I have seen people say that they hate this card, and I understand where that's coming from. I don't think anyone who seriously has taken the time to learn Katsu has not crashed out about this card. Like, for a while, I often joke, actually, that this card just says banish the Surging Strike on top of your deck. Flood of Force players, the way they play is even, like, their crash out stories are even worse because they've only got 6 misses in the deck and they always seem to find one of them. This is, like, a really important card. And I hate to rain on anyone's parade who just wants, like, just to be like, we're the most skillful deck. This is an aggressive overlap card. This is a goober card, right? You play this sometimes and just, like, absolutely changes the pace of the game if you hit, right? If you hit something like a second Bonds of Ancestry while you have the natural line, it's outrageously powerful. And a card that it gets compared to in the Katsu servers is people talk about running Prismatic Leyline. So here's the deal. If you hit a Descendant Gustwave with Ancestral Harmony on a turn where you have a Surging Strike, you have reached the maximum potential value of Prismatic Leyline, right? Because even if you have no other combo to follow up, this one card got you 6 value, okay? But that's not how you're not going to do that, because in that scenario, you just played an Ancestral Harmony with 0 combo cards in your hand. So it's always going to be, you know, like this is your aggressive overlap card. It's not always going to be more value than Prismatic Leyline, but the potential is there, right? The ceiling for this card is much, much higher. Now the floor could be lower, but I don't really know too much on that. I don't have strong feelings on that. I just know that the ceiling on this is much, much higher. Part of the reason for that is because of Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. So being able to weave together, you know, these Katsu turns where you're searching your deck for combo cards, you're getting an extra card off of Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, you're getting an extra card off of Ancestral Harmony. This is how you beat a lot of decks right now. You don't always need to play it to win. In fact, this is probably the most difficult card to learn when you should play, because the instinct is to always rip it. In my experience, I'm a greedy player. I like greedy lines. I want to just end games in the splashiest way possible. This card is really good as a pitch outlet, or not pitch outlet, but for its pitch value. It's blue and it costs 0. That's all I'm trying to say. But it's often that you shuffle your deck so much throughout the game that you just want to keep this in your deck for a later turn when you have a turn that you just know you'll get the maximum potential value off of Ancestral Harmony. So I know that was one question that people had in the server. I want to go over some lines here. People had asked about the most powerful line, and this is something that like new players ask, and the answer is sort of, it's all contextual, but we'll get into what powerful lines look like in Katsu here. So this is the Surging Strike line. Before I get into like what is the most powerful line and what should you be trying to do throughout the game, let's talk about another question that came up was, do people still run Mugenshi Release and Lord of Wind? Now, this channel's not TCG talk. No, people are not running that. Dylan is running that. I love Dylan. He's a great guy. Love his videos. I don't think people are really running that these days. At least I have not seen too much of it. I know that some people do run it, but it's kind of more kitsch these days. Like, I think that's the word, right? It's a little bit more of like a nostalgia choice. Now, it is good for if your meta has like a heavy fatigue slant, but I would say overall this is not that common. However, what is very common is running Retrace the Past. It's in every Katsu deck, and so is Dishonor, and, well, at least Bonds of Ancestry. Dishonor should be as well, but the Lord of Wind line here, I would say, is not a commonly run line these days. That may change, and I know that there are plenty of players that still do like the line. I think most of them like it for more nostalgia reasons. But let's go down to the most powerful thing you can do in Katsu. Everyone kind of knows about this now, and this is just the basic, at the most basic, you know, level. It's ending with an active Fluster Fist. And so how you do that is you play a Surging Strike. You don't actually even need to play a Surging Strike. You need to play a Gust Wave with Go Again into Retrace the Past into Fluster Fist. So let's say our 4-card hand is a blue pitch. It's Tempest Palm, Gust Wave, Retrace the Past, and Fluster Fist. We hit Kadachi, Tempest Palm, and Retrace coming in as Open the Center. We've hit 4 times. Red Fluster Fist comes in for 8. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. If you're not aware, Flusterfist gets +1 for each chain link that has hit this turn, as long as Open the Center was the last card. So this is the most powerful thing you are trying to do. We don't need to talk too much about Become the Bottle right now. And the way you're trying to do this is you're trying to weave together, ideally, a double bonds turn that ends with Retrace the Past as Open the Center into a Flusterfist. It's not the easiest to do that. You know, you don't always get a chance to do that, which leads to the question of when do you use Bonds of Ancestry? Now, you use Bonds of Ancestry differently depending on your matchups. In my top 8 game, this was a line I really hated to take, but I still feel it was the correct line. I was playing against a spell Acilio, and I did not have much time in the game. My hand was Yellow Descendant Gustwave, Retrace the Past, Tempest Palm Gustwave. That was it. Yellow Descendant Gustwave, Retrace the Past, Tempest Palm Gustwave. That wasn't it. And Red Whelming Gustwave. Okay? So I didn't really love this hand. The way I ended up playing it, I'm even wrong here. That's not what it was. It was Yellow Descendant Gustwave, Be Like Water, Red Whelming Gustwave, Tempest Palm Gustwave. So the question is, when do you play Bonds? So in this matchup, I have to go fast, and I have to keep the pressure on, and I cannot afford to have an off turn. So I break my chest piece, I go Descendant Gustwave into Be Like Water so that Tempest Palm Gustwave can come in with Go Again, hoping that one of those 3 hits. If none of them hit, I'm going to arsenal my Whelming Gustwave. My Be Like Water hits. At that point, I don't rename it. I just discard the Whelming Gustwave, and I turn this 3 value into 8 value by playing something like Bonds of Ancestry into Flusterfist. That's against an Acilio. If I do that against a Jarl, I will lose. That is a terrible, terrible line to take against a more blocky deck. Now, I know that my opponent was on a blockier version of Acilio, but I still thought that maybe there was a window that I could get over. And I was also worried that if they kept a whole hand, I'd end up taking 15 Arcane, which I eventually did. But Bonds of Ancestry is a card that you have 3 of in your deck. You need to be careful about when and how you use them, because if you go for them on the first available turn, you will you might run out of them. You got to think about, is it more important to go with this 8 value, or am I trying to go 16? Do I need 16 additional value on this turn? And on those turns, you try and go for a double Bonds of Ancestry. Usually, the best card to allow that, for enabling that, is Tempest Palm Gustwave. Tempest Palm Gustwave is maybe the best card in the deck. No, that's crazy to say. It's the best Gustwave in the deck. Because of its ability to get Go Again and it being a 0 cost. Obviously, this one's underwhelming. This one is fantastic, but more often than not, it doesn't hit. And this one, it turns on Dishonor. It does a lot of great stuff, but it has a cost. So Tempest Palm Gustwave is just like such an excellent glue card. And typically, the way you do double bonds turns, you end up targeting a Tempest Palm Gustwave with your Bonds of Ancestry so that you can go, get the other one. If you, thoughts racing a little. If you target a Bonds of Ancestry in your grave, it's a little... It's a little... you kind of need to know that's the line you need, I feel like. Maybe I'm not expressing that well. Not important. We'll come back to that. Okay. So that's a little bit on when to bonds. Let's talk about the most powerful line again, being ending with Flusterfist. It is why I run 6 Flusterfist. I am counting my Flusterfists in Grave and Banish every turn. I am constantly aware of how many of these I have. I can tell you that the biggest one I came in for this weekend was 11 against a Marionette. I ended up losing that game, which is a testament to my own lack of skill, because when you end up attacking with Flusterfist for 11, you've hit 6 times on an Ancestral Harmony turn. That's pretty good, right? But this is the blowout card. However, Retrace has so many targets. Like, all of these are targets. All of these combo cards are targets. Whelming Gustwave is probably the next best one because it has an active on hit. And Bonds of Ancestry is not the best one because you're following up a Gustwave. So you already could have used Bonds of Ancestry. You don't need to do that. Like, it's kind of redundant, the rename ability. So I would say that the best one to go for is Flusterfist, then Whelming Gustwave. Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about some heuristics in Katsu. Let's start with this one here. This lost me a game by not following this heuristic against an Aurora. If the card you're going to draw with this is going to get discarded to Katsu, don't draw that card. Just discard this. So what I had done against an Aurora, and I knew this was the wrong thing to do, but it was a long day. I was tired. It was round 7. I played Double Strike, and they said no blocks. And I thought, I got to get this additional value here. Even though I had a red Surging Strike in my hand, I thought, I got to try and try to draw something here that is better than a 0 cost. The other card in my hand must have been Descendant Gustwave or Bonds of Ancestry. It couldn't have been Bonds of Ancestry. That'd have been crazy. Maybe it was a yellow Surging. I don't remember what exactly it was, but I know that I drew another Surging Strike. That's the fail case, right? That is the failure scenario. So if I had just let the attack hit and discarded Ancestral, my turn would have flowed perfectly. I would have gotten the exact card I wanted to draw. That's how this works. You get the exact card you want to draw if you don't give it +1 and you plan on discarding the card that you would have drawn anyway. So the heuristic is, if they say no blocks and you don't have, if you have another card you plan on discarding, what is the heuristic? If they say no blocks and you would discard the card you plan to draw, don't play this card. Just discard it. That's the heuristic. There are some others. What are some others? My heuristic with Ancestral Harmony, one of them is, if this card can get 3 value with what's in my hand, it is worth playing. If it can get 3 value or turn on Surging Strike combos while Surging Strike is in my hand, Surging Strike is more worth playing unless I have a chest piece that allows me to go off. Like if I still have my hardened cross straps, then we get the best of both worlds, right? But this is generally worth playing when you can get at least 3 value from your blue. What are some other heuristics? I think that's sort of it. One of the things I want to say is I think that people who are on Swift Pickup and Silverwind Shuriken should be activating their Silverwind Shurikens more often, because you'll get them back, right? This coming in for 4 is pretty great. You know, we are a deck that isn't actually an aggro deck the way that a lot of other ones are, because we just we have to work for turns to like be woven together. Like Aurora's a little bit closer, but like some of the draconic heroes, their turns just have natural go again on a lot of things. Maybe not on the draconic cards, but like they can sequence them, and you know, like they're a lot more like Tempest Palm Gustwave, and that it's just like if this is Chainlink X, if you've played another red card, right? So I think of us more as a combo deck than an aggro deck. Don't really know where I was going with that. Arm pieces. I like I said, I find myself running breaking scales more often than Windcutter. But I love Windcutter, and I think that it rules, and it's like the best card ever to play against the Huntsman. It's so fun. When you do finally, like, when you're able to stuff a hunted or hunted or hunter or hunter or hunted, who cares? Who cares? They should not have named 6 different cards the exact same thing. Anyway, this is Whelming Gustwave.deck. That's sort of all the rant I had prepared for today. I guess I'll talk a little bit more just real quick. You know, using Become the Bottle. It's a great way to, you know, when you have a line, I don't even know what to say about it. It's great. It's good. It can be a card that's on the chain. So it has uses with every Surging Strike card. It has uses with every Gustwave card. It has uses with 100 Winds. It can do anything. This card has the ability to attack for 4 with Go Again, which is something I learned in my top 8 game. So that's something to be aware of that I don't think everyone knows. It's not actually an attack reaction. It's actually an attack, and you can see that down here. It says Ninja Action Attack, and this here is the attack value, which it gets +1 and Go Again if your last attack was a Crouching Tiger. That is sometimes relevant. Anyway, that's the deck. In my maybe board, you'll see, you know, nothing really spicy. I will say maybe the spiciest thing I'm thinking about for next meta is something like Find Center. I think Zen State might end up being good. We don't really know how many Rune Chants new Viserai will make, and we don't know how much he'll usurp them. But that's all. I love talking about Katsu. I haven't made a video in a while. I had a good run this weekend, and I figured I might as well, you know, make the same video I've made a couple times now. All right. Peace.